Hi, Mike Anderson here, wanting to give you some information about an uncontested divorce case in the state of Utah. So I was asked the question, how does an uncontested divorce case work in Utah? And so I've outlined here for you the 7 steps of an uncontested divorce case. In our office, there's a questionnaire that we have you fill out. With that questionnaire, we ask you several questions. We ask you about your assets, we ask you about your income, we ask you about where you got married, the date you got married. We ask you if you have children. If you have children, how custody is going to be arranged. We ask you all sorts of questions in this questionnaire. And then once it's completed, we also give you a vital statistics form. That is the second step. The vital statistics form is a document that the court requires that you file at the time you file your divorce case. And it outlines where you were born, what county you were born in, your current address, your spouse's address, where they were born, how many kids are subject to the divorce proceeding, and things of that nature. Dates of birth are also included. So once those 2 documents are completed and returned to our office, that we prepare and then we file a petition for divorce on your behalf with the court. Now, once that petition is filed, the next step is that the service is effectuated. This means that a copy of the petition that's been filed and a summons that is issued by either us, or if you're doing it on your own, it's by the court. The summons and the petition are then served, meaning hand-delivered, by either a constable, a process server, or someone who is not a party to the case and is 18 years or older and is a disinterested party. And they hand deliver those documents to your spouse. That's called service. And then once that happens, if this is an uncontested case, meaning you and your spouse agree on everything of how the terms of everything's going to be divided, etc., then they either don't file an answer, which means they default, or they file a document with the court saying they consent to everything that's outlined in the petition for divorce. Then 90 days later, you can actually get divorced. So if they don't file an answer, you get a default. If they consent, then you can get basically a consent judgment or a consent decree. And that's step 6. Step 6 is filing the final paperwork with the court. Now, essentially, you're looking at filing findings of fact, conclusions of law, and a decree of divorce. There are other documents that go with that, such as an affidavit of jurisdiction and grounds for divorce. If there's child support in place, you also have to file either financial affidavits or financial declarations. Then, of course, is the last step, which is step 7. The judge signs the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and the decree of divorce. Once the judge signs those, there's another document that's called a notice of entry of decree of divorce. And that's important to do so that there's no appeal rights, or that the appeal rights go away at some point, usually 90 days after service of that notice of entry of decree of divorce. So look, it's a somewhat of a simple process if it's uncontested. Children and having kids can make things a little more complicated because there's some other documents and things that need to be done. But look, if you're getting an uncontested divorce case, give our office a call. Here at Ascent Law, we're happy to help you. We can answer your questions. We can give you some guidance and direction. Our office, 801-676-5507. Again, 801-676-5507. We look forward to helping you with your uncontested divorce case in Utah. Thanks for watching.